Hey everybody, it's Mike. Just wanted to throw this little PS on it because of something that happened recently. We have to push this episode into the time sensitive category of things for the ninth season. Um, so, part of our Fortnight challenge, I will react to the case as it has wrapped up. Needless to say, I am not very happy about it, and I don't want to waste another element of the podcast talking about it. So that'll be in our Fortnight challenge. So in the meantime, enjoy our early release episode on the North American Soccer League versus United States Soccer Federation. Enjoy.
Check the mic, we're going live. Stories told, they rise and dive. Topics fresh with every spin. You won't guess what's coming in. Every week a new surprise. Minds awake, never lies. Conversations bold and free. Tune in now, just wait and see. This podcast is uncalled for. Can't you see there's so much more? Laughs and tales you can't ignore. A journey that will leave you floored. In the night or in the day, just press play.
Hi, everybody. So, welcome to the podcast. The first of a few snowed in editions of the podcast. The line is open for anyone who wants to jump in. And it is no joke. We literally are snowed in today. So let's get this kicked off with a story been following a little bit over the past few years, and feel it's important to talk about because we got the World Cup coming in a couple of years. I still to this day don't think it's a good idea for the U.S. to be hosting the World Cup, especially when we do not follow the FIFA guidelines on sporting merits, also known as promotion and relegation. And nothing demonstrates this better than the whole concept of soccer wars. On one side, you have Major League Soccer and their sycophants over at USL. And on the other hand, you have people who are actually reform minded that wanted to bring promotion relegation, but were stopped along the way by MLS and their sock puppets, if you will, at the United States Soccer Federation. If there are a lot of parallels between this and if it seems there are a lot of parallels between this situation and what's going on government-wise in the United States and what's going on with the NFL, yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap between all those. And nothing illustrates this better than the fact that the main league in the among the reform-minded owners is suing the USSF and MLS because they were driven out of business, literally out of business. So, and that case is about to go to trial, which is why I want to talk about it today. So, we'll start with an article, ESPN. U.S. soccer must face trial over MLS and NASL competition. So, if the NASL were still around, they would be a Division Two league. And another much maligned league, NISA, the National Independent Soccer Association, would have been a feeder league for the NSL for terms of promotion and relegation. So let's read. So the antitrust lawsuit filed by the North American Soccer League against the U.S. Soccer Federation and MLS can go to trial after a federal judge denied one of the motions for summary judgment filed by the USSF and MLS. Where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, the St. Louis NFL lawsuits. They were denied summary judgment and settled shortly after that. And this is a good time to insert that some of the owners in the NFL are also invested in MLS. I will leave it up to you all to look at the names, but that it is what it is. The NASL, the second iteration of a league to use that name, operated from 2011 to 2017 and eventually ceased operations after losing its designation as a Division II league from the USSF in September 2017. NASL filed its antitrust lawsuit shortly after this decision. So this has been going on for quite a while. We're now in 2025. Happy New Year, by the way. And is just now getting to trial. And this was written in June of 24. It's been 7 long years of litigation, and the NASL is delighted to finally get its day in court against MLS and USSF, said Jeffrey Kessler, the lead attorney for the NASL, in an email to ESPN. Neither USSF nor MLS responded to a request for comments. The trial is scheduled to begin on September 9. I heard it was starting. It got pushed back to like next week or something. I digress. NASL's original complaint alleges that the USSF had violated federal antitrust laws through its anti-competitive division structure that divides men's professional soccer from US-based leagues based on what an NASL news release described as arbitrary criteria that the USSF has manipulated to favor Major League Soccer, which is the commercial business partner of the USSF. Most soccer league, almost all soccer leagues outside the U.S. operates in such a structure. So I'll use the Premier League as an example in England. So the Premier League, top 20 teams in English soccer play in the Premier League. If you finish the bottom 3, you'll go down to the second division, which is called the Football League Championship, from which the top 2 automatically go up to the Premier League, and the next 4 play for that final spots in a playoff. So there's promotion, relegation at work. And it doesn't stop there. Below the championship is League One, 3 up, 3 down. After League One is League Two. It's four up, four down. And then from League Two to the National League, they call it two up, two down, and below that it starts to tier off. Uh, so you have the National League, then below that is National League North and South, and then uh, some regional leagues, and then even more regional leagues and everything. And the idea is if you do well, you get rewarded by going up a level. And if you suck, you get punished by going down levels. I use England as the example, but this is really how it works in other soccer leagues around the world. So we continue with the article. The division structure via the application of the USSF's professional league standards are PLS, which I've often said are POS, is intended to provide a set of minimum requirements for a league, including number of teams, geographic distribution of teams. There's that word again. Metropolitan area size of a team's city, stadium capacity, as well as the minimum financial requirements for team owners. And there's a photo right there of the NASL. This was Fort Lauderdale. What happened at Fort Lauderdale? That's a story in of itself. It was pretty damn shady. Playing New York Cosmos right there. The complaint alleges that the USSF selectively applied and waived the PLS criteria to suppress competition from the NASL and benefits MLS and USL. The USSF granted the NASL professional D2 status for the 2017 season, but in September of that year, the USSF announced it had denied NASL's application to be sanctioned as a D2 league due to the fact that it could not guarantee that it would field at least 8 teams in 2018. Well, most of those teams were being poached by MLS and USL. Uh, in fact, well, I have you guys here. Let's go to the Wikipedia on the assuming it wants to cooperate, of course. Wikipedia.org. That is not what I typed. What became of the teams in the NASL? Because yeah, a couple of them did wind up in MLS and all that. So NASL. And we're looking at the 2011-2017 version of this league. Most champions, New York Cosmos. Last champions, San Francisco Deltas. The clubs in this league, well, we have Atlanta Silverbacks, folded. Cal United FC joined NISA. Never actually played. FC Edmonton joins the Canadian Premier League. Unfortunately, they folded as well. Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Yeah, about that. Yeah, that was a pretty messed up situation there. Indy United, they joined USL. And by the way, this is a good time also to say I don't think the Borg is a good uh, metaphor for using to describe what's going on here. I would use it in Firefly terms actually. So um, MLS and USL would be the alliance, the big baddies in Firefly, whereas NASL and NISA, all these independent leagues, would be more akin to independence, Malcolm Reynolds type deals. So in the 11, they joined the alliance. Uh, they have Jacksonville Armada joined in PSL, and I'm not sure this that's about Jacksonville Armada, but Miami FC, they wound it says here they joined the NPSL, but then they joined NISA for a little bit and then joined the Alliance. Uh, Minnesota United, uh, MLS, Montreal Impact. Oh, although I've heard they changed their name lately. MLS, uh, Cosmos are in some sort of suspended animation right now. North Carolina FC, formerly the Carolina Railhawks, joined the alliance. Oklahoma City FC never played a game. By the way, uh, Ottawa Fury threw a big joins the alliance and threw a big hissy fit about uh, being about uh, their big hissy fit was about the Canadian Premier League. So I have no sympathy for them. Puerto Rico FC folded. Puerto Rico Islanders folded. Rio, Oklahoma City folded. San Antonio Scorpions folded. That was a mess to one that involved the NBA team. Uh, San Diego 1904 joins NISA, merged with another San Diego team, and it's currently on highest. Delta's folded after the one and only season. Tampa Bay Rowdies joins the Alliance, and Virginia Cavalry FC never played a game, which is unfortunate. Which is all unfortunate, and uh, but back to the article. Uh, the all right. So we were at 8 teams in 2018. So MLS is the only Division One league to be sanctioned by U.S. Soccer. NASL was founded in 2009 as a Division One hopeful, but its request was denied in 2016. Both sides have filed motions for summary judgment, but the U.S. District Courts for the Eastern Districts of New York, Judge Brian M. Cogan, dismissed the motions from NASL because there were enough questions of facts that a trial was necessary. Yep. St. Louis NFL all over again. As for the motions filed by USSF and MLS, Kogan granted one of their motions, which challenged the NASL's assertion that the mere presence of PLS violates antitrust law. That part of the case can no longer be litigated, but the second motion put forward by USSF, which challenged NASL's assertion that both USSF and MLS used the PLS to put NASL out of business, was denied due to competing evidence. Because the parties' competing evidence had created issues of material fact at every phase of the rule of reason analysis, the issue of whether the PLS enforcement unlawfully restrains trade will proceed to trial. Yeah, man, and this is way more this next article is way more recent. It's from Forbes, or maybe it's not more recent. So, but let's hear what these guys have to say. Can we please go away with this pop up? So I think this goes a little more detailed too in the short amount of time we have left. The North American Soccer League (NASL) folded in 2018 because of what it argues were the anti-competitive acts of the U.S. Soccer Federation and MLS. After the court's recent ruling, the NASL will now proceed to a September trials. So I was under the impression this trial was starting in uh, in just a couple of weeks. Maybe it is. Um, I don't know. Seeking hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. U.S. Soccer has the authority to regulate professional soccer in the U.S. by virtue of its membership in FIFA, the Globes, the sports global governing body, and by having been recognized as the national governing body of the sport soccer in the U.S. by the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. U.S. Soccer was responsible for America's first ever hosting of the World Cup in '94. Leading up to and after that World Cup, there was renewed interest in American men's pro soccer league. No such league had existed since the original version of the NASL folded in 1985. To provide structure to such an effort in '95, U.S. Soccer established professional league standards through which prospective professional leagues are classed as Division One, Division Two, Division Three, and initially with the intention of promotion and relegation. But still, they were demarcated by seating capacity, number of teams, time zone coverage, and other benchmarks. A league's compliance with the standards is reviewed annually. In '94, the U.S. Soccer Board voted preliminarily to make MLS the sole D1 league. The result is not surprising given that MLS application was developed and submitted by Alan Rothenberg, the U.S. soccer president from 1990 to '98. Well, when MLS began make play in '96, it met all the standards. However, as the league expanded, and every year from between '97 and '14, it required a waiver as one or more of its clubs was not presently in compliance with D1 requirements, and U.S. Soccer always granted the waiver. At the time of MLS's launch, there were some pro and semi-pro leagues operating in the U.S. In the '90s. These leagues morphed into the United Soccer League, the USL, who can also burn in hell. And they did such a craptacular job that in '09, a new NASL was formed by former USL clubs that wanted to challenge MLS as a Division One league. And after a combined season with the USL in 2010, the NASL played as a standalone D2 league between 2011 and 2017. In 2015, the NASL applied for D1 status, but were denied by U.S. Soccer, who refused to grant NASL any waivers. Then in 2017, U.S. Soccer denied NASL's D2 application, which required two waivers, and by comparison, US Soccer granted USL's Division II status, even though it required 21 waivers. Fucking sick joke of a league, I swear to God. Of potential relevance, 3 years earlier, MLS and USL reached an agreement to coordinate on player development. Uh, then in, oh, I'm reading the same sentence again. Without US soccer sanctioning, NASL folded. It also did not help that the league's principal backers pled guilty to fraud charges. That's a different issue altogether. Uh, NASL responded by hiring renowned sports litigator Jeffrey Kessler and his team of Winston Strawn LLP. Kessler is responsible for the recent settlements of various antitrust cases between student athletes and NC2A, and also represents promoter Relevant Sports in another antitrust case against FIFA and USSF. With Kessler on board, NASL sued US Soccer and MLS in a New York federal court, alleging that they had violated antitrust law. 2017, the court denied NASL's motion for a preliminary injunction, tolling the league's death knell. At that stage, the court found that US Soccer and MLS had plausibly alleged that the agreements between them are pro-competitive because they promote quality in the matches being played in the stadiums in which they are played, enhancing fan experience and interest in soccer. The case then proceeded through the discovery process and culminated with USSF and MLS filing a motion for summary judgment seeking to dismiss the case on its merits in April 21 and then late 23. With that motion still undecided, court ordered a trial to begin September 9, 2024, and finally on a June 11, 2024 decision, the league largely denied the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment, paving the way for this trial. And court's ruling. I think we may have to end with this, but the court's ruling. U.S. Soccer and MLS sought to have the case dismissed by arguing that there was no evidence of an agreement by them to apply standards in such a way as to harm the NASL. The court disagreed and found sufficient circumstantial evidence of parallel conduct by defendants, which must be assessed by a jury. First, the courts noted that MLS had long been sanctioned as D1, even though it did not uniformly meet its standards. Indeed, MLS Commissioner Don Garber, NFL crony, and U.S. Soccer President Sunil Gulati, also with NFL ties, routinely and successfully encouraged the USSF boards to grant MLS every waiver it requested. Secondly, the court recognized that U.S. Soccer's application of the standards changed at interesting times. Specifically, U.S. Soccer first instituted a formal waiver review process in 2009. The same year, NASL was formed with the intention of challenging MLS. Second, U.S. Soccer made the D1 standards more difficult in 2014. The same year, NASL made known to U.S. Soccer that it plans to apply for D1 status. The revised standards increased the number of required teams from 10 to 12 and required a team in the Pacific time zone, among the other changes. Third, the court acknowledged the significance of Soccer United marketing. NASL alleged that the effect of the SUM arguments was to tie a significant source of U.S. soccer revenue to the economic value of MLS rights as the sole D1 league. And four, there was evidence that MLS had meaningful control over the U.S. Soccer Board and its decision making. Yep, there. I just made those arguments too. The court thusly concluded that NASL had presented evidence that defendants' applications of standards have resulted in a reduction in the output of D1, D2 leagues because MLS is the only member of the former and USL the latter. Thus, in effect, reduces customer, i.e. soccer team choices, of which leagues to join. Further, NASL had presented evidence that MLS and USL had been able to charge higher expansion team fees because their league memberships are the only products available to purchasers of D1, D2 league memberships. Finally, the courts will entertain NASL's argument that as a result of defendants' applications of the standards that failed to obtain higher entry fees, suffered a diminished reputation and goodwill, ultimately had to stop league play. Okay, MLS's arguments that NASL was mismanaged is bullshit. And over the objections, the court also generally permitted NASL's planned experts analysis. While the courts requested some adjustments to be made, these analyses estimate combined damages in the area of $400 million, which will be tripled under antitrust law. So $1.2 billion if these charges hold. NASL is pleased with the court's decision and is looking forward to finally getting to trial. I'm looking forward to it. I had heard it was delayed I'm looking forward to seeing how this trial goes. And we are running against the clock. So with all that out of the way, we will go and stop share. And we will be doing this again in just a short while. So thank you, everyone, and we will talk soon. This podcast is Uncalled For, is hosted, produced, and edited by myself, Mike Chernevsky. The opening music is the This Podcast is Uncalled For theme, created at suno.com, suno.com. The outro music for this and every episode in our Snowed In 2025 series is Snow Ticket by PC3, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution License. You can find this at freemusicarchive.org.
Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.